7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hello, and welcome to Depraved Indifference to Intelligent Life, my weekly little vlog thing that I do here. And we're back on schedule again because we're on a Friday. Now, I've got another vlog out. I missed last week, but you'll have already seen another vlog on Tuesday about that. This week is my After Action SHUX 2017 report. Because not this weekend gone by, but the previous weekend, through the what was it the 6th, 7th, and 8th of October, I was in Vancouver. I was attending SHUX 2017, and it was amazing. I got to play some cool board games, not as much as I wanted to play, but I still got to play some cool board games. Got to see a couple of neat little panels, which was awesome. I got to participate in a mega game, which was a blast. And I even got to run a little bit of role-playing game at one point. So I'm going to dive right in and tell you all about it because I had super fun. On the Friday, we had the opening ceremonies. All the Shut Up and Sit Down boys was there, as was Pip, who was also pretty damn cool. There was an assortment of guests that were speaking at other panels, and they just basically kind of spoke about this, that, and the other thing. It was awesome. I enjoyed it immensely. But before that, on Thursday, I got to go out to Stormcrow Ale House, which is a very geeky, nerdy type of a tavern, ale house, whatever, that has a lot of really cool stuff. They were showing old school Voltron on one of the televisions. They had a board game library that you could just borrow board games from and play in the restaurant. They had a shot menu that you could order a shot from, and they were all like nerd themed. But you could also roll a d20 because there was 20 shots on this menu, and you could roll a d20 and that's what you got. And if you rolled a 1, the shot on the menu was it tequila, Tabasco, and something else. And that was a critical fail. If you rolled a 20, you got a double-sized shot glass, and that you got to keep. And it was full of all kinds of crazy stuff. But the best thing is, you only had to pay one price when you rolled the dice. You don't have to like pay for what the individual shot's worth, I guess. So that was pretty cool. I didn't partake of any alcohol at that point, but I did get to play a little bit of a game called Cult Following, which is a game based out of Vancouver. It's kind of fun, all about you being a leader of a cult, and you have to make your spiel as to why your cult is awesome, based off of a random assortment of cards. I think you get dealt like 5 cards, and you have to pick 3 of them, or maybe 7, I'm not sure. And then each one of the cult followers, the rest of the group that's playing, draws a card and picks one of the questions on the card to ask of all the cult leaders. And then after they answer all these questions, then you vote. You pick who you're throwing your lot in with which cult. And the person with the most cult following wins that round. So very Cards Against Humanity-like in a way. Pretty funny, though. Pretty funny. On to the actual con, however. I got to play, after the opening ceremonies, I got to play Lords of Vegas, which is a game that I have bought and haven't yet played here, but I got to play it there for the first time, and beautiful game. I'm so glad I bought it. It is fantastic. I enjoy the give and take scenario. And if you're very clever, as one of the players was, oh, he had me cornered. I ended up not getting any points, but I kept getting money because he ended up building onto and taking over my casino. And it just bloomed up into this big, massive casino that was making him, I think, like 7 or 8 points every time that color came up. And it wasn't making me any because I wasn't the boss. And I wasn't in a position to do anything. But, oh, it was a great game. I love that one. I also got to play a game of Secrets, which Quinton Smith reviewed for Shut Up and Sit Down. And that game is all about hidden roles, in a way. Basically, you're each given a little disc that has a role on it. You're either the CIA, the KGB, or a hippie. Now, the CIA and the KGB in that game win if, at the end of the game, the amount of points they all have total together is the most. So if you've got 2 CIA players, at the end of the game, you total all their points. And if they have more than everybody else, they win. The hippies, on the other hand, win if they have individually, one hippie wins, if individually they have the lowest score possible. Now here's the fun part. Everybody gets given a role randomly. One role gets left in the center that belongs to nobody. Everybody around the table can look at their role at the beginning. And unless a card ability lets you look at it again, you're not allowed to look at it at any point in time. Once you've looked at it once, that's it. And a lot of the card abilities in this game make the roles get switched around. You can swap other players' roles. You can swap your role with the one in the center. Somebody else can swap your role with one in the center. So the roles are always getting moved around. First time any player gets 5 cards, game's over. And it's interesting. Some cards you give them and it's nothing but points. Other cards, they give you an ability that lets you do something. There's 8 different cards that can be given out. It's super fun. I liked it. As soon as it comes out and available, I'm going to buy it because it is very similar to the Resistance in a way. Just a fun little party game. Plays really quickly. I enjoyed it immensely. When I got to play a little bit of a demo round with just 4 people, it goes up to 8. So, what else did I play? I also got to go to a panel on competitive fun, dealing with competitive play, tournaments and whatnot. And I did a video on the archives about competitive play versus casual play, or tournament play as I called it, and my thoughts on the matter. So it was interesting to see them talking about it and answering questions about competitive play and competitive fun, and how to foster a welcoming atmosphere to a community, and so on and so forth. It was really interesting. I'm so glad I got to attend that panel. What else did I do? The mega game was on Saturday, because mostly I just bounced around on the Friday, and that was the day that I also ran a session of Fate Core set in the Android Netrunner universe. Came up with a cool idea for that. Got to play a good 3 hours with 3 other people. You know who you are. Wonderful people. I'm not going to shout you out here, but you know who you are. And it was amazing. I'm so glad that we got to play that. We didn't get to finish it, but we are looking to finish it online. So looking forward to doing that. I'll be in touch with you soon. But the actual game itself, I'd never run a game of Fate Core. One of the other players had played Fate Core before and ran it, so he was familiar with it, which I drew on his knowledge a bit, and we got to have a lot of fun in the Android universe. One of my players decided to play an NAPD detective who was genetically modified, kind of a bit of a Sherlock Holmesian type of a guy. Another guy was playing a cybernetically enhanced cybernetically enhanced private investigator that was consulting for the FBI or for the NAPD, which was really cool. Kind of a noir, tough guy. Uh, and then our third player decided to play a hacker who was an experimental psionic that Jinteki had their hands in. And I let him play an experimental psionic because he wanted to be able to have psychic abilities and whatnot, like some of the clones do for Jinteki. So I talked with him for a bit, figured out what he wanted to do, and I gave him the aspect of experimental psionic because I wanted to be able to make his powers not be completely reliable, because experimental. So he could do stuff with them, but they wouldn't always quite work out. There was a cool moment when he met up with a lawyer from Hospiroid, and he's like, I want to put the memory in his mind that he's seen me somewhere else meeting with a high up uh, executive type in Hospiroid. So he wanted his character to be recognized by this lawyer as um, as somebody hobnobbing with the high ups in Hospiroid, and it went off without a hitch for him. His character hasn't found out yet because of the experimental thing. He's only able to like do a general push, and the rest of the subject's mind makes up the details. The subject believes him to be somebody that is friends with Thomas Haas, the son of Director Haas. So that's probably going to come back and bite him on the ass later. But that was cool. The mega game was amazing. There was so much going on. A lot of the day is a bit of a blur. I will say, if you ever get the chance to play in a mega game, definitely do so. It is an absolute blast. It is super fun. Um, just throwing yourself into the role and whatnot. I will say, however, if you're going to do it, don't plan anything afterwards because the entire day there was so much information coming at me from so many different angles. Uh, it was mentally exhausting and kind of physically draining too, especially during the last couple turns when everything was ramping up. It felt like super stressful. Even though I was having a blast, afterwards it just wiped me out. It destroyed me afterwards. So it was great, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I would do it again, but I wouldn't plan anything after. I had something planned afterwards, and I had to cancel it, unfortunately, cancel going and running it because I was just completely knackered. The next day, I got to wander around. I played a game from Z-Man Games called Number 9, or NMBR 9. And it's a simple little puzzle game. I can literally explain the entire game to you in about under a minute. So let's try that. I'm going to wait till that clicks. Okay, in number 9, you get a deck of cards with each number on it from 1 through 0, and it's in there twice. Every turn, it flips over. Everyone playing takes a tile of that number and places it down on their tableau. You can put numbers on top of other numbers, but only if there are two numbers connected together, and there's room to put that tile down on top of it with no space overhanging. In that way, you build it up. Each level above the first level starts being scored. You take, let's say you had a number 1 tile on the second level of your structure. That would be worth 1 point, 1 times 1. If you had a 5 on top, it would be 5 times 1, or 5. And then the next level is times 2 and times 3. When all the tiles are done, you add up your score. And that's it. And I did it in under a minute. 50 seconds, but cool. That's the entire game. Simple rules, but the complexity lies in the puzzle itself. And it was such a fun little puzzle game. I want to get it as my own. I want that on my shelf. I think it plays up to 4 people, maybe more. but given the amount, I'm sure that if you had multiple copies, it would scale up easily because it just provides you with more tiles, and you just use the one deck of cards. So I'm pretty sure it would scale up easily, but I want to get it for my own collection. I also played some Netrunner. I basically found a spare table and a player's wanted sign, uh, posted on the Discord server that we had, and basically said, I'm setting up, welcoming all challengers for Netrunner. And I set up, and I had a good 5 or 6 games. People just wandered by and was like, I'd like to play you. And I played a good 5 or 6 games. I think I won one of them. And I had a blast the entire time. Got to meet some cool new people. It was super fun. And got to talk to them about Netrunner too, which I always love doing. After that, I wandered around for a while, and I ended up sitting and playing a game called Aegis. Aegis, the Greek word for shield. Uh, and it was spelled like it was an acronym of something. And it was basically a robot fighting game of combining robots. It's like a tactical strategy game. It's played on a map. You move your little pieces around. You attack your other opponents and destroy them, destroy their robots. But your robots can combine together in that you can have 2 robots combine into a bigger one, and then have a third robot come in and make it bigger, then a fourth, and then a fifth. And you can combine up to 5 robots because the robots are either an A, an E, a G, an I, or an S, hence the name of the game. Very much based in Japanese anime and like Voltron, the Sentai type things. It's very much based from a love of that genre and that series of things. There was one in particular card I saw. What was it? It was like Elion or something like that. Was the name of this bigger 3-part combining robot? And I'm like, that sounds like an Evangelion reference right there. He's like, yeah, it pretty much is. And I got to talk to him, the guy that made the game, because he did a demo thing with me. We played around. I ended up actually winning, amazingly enough, which caught me completely off guard because I was down to like one guy, just one guy. But I ended up winning. It was fantastic. Um, it was a fun little game, and there's like over 100 different robots in this particular game. He gave me a card. I'm going to be looking into that and possibly picking up a pre-order. It looks fun. Uh, I also got to see a game. Oh, what was it called? It was Primal something. I'm going to actually look it up because I've got the card somewhere. I'm going to pop the name up here below so you can see it. This game, it looked interesting. It's going to be there's going to be a Kickstarter coming soon, and it's basically a kind of high fantasy Dungeons and Dragons type thing with like all the Dungeons and Dragons style classes, but all the races are animals, like anthropomorphic animals, which is very much kind of very similar to Pugmire in a way, which I told him about. He hadn't heard about it. And it looked really interesting because he had like a sheep that's a ranger. And I thought it was adorable. The art looks very interesting. And the way it was set up, the dungeon has like an empty space. And every turn the dungeon moves, it shifts. So the pieces of the dungeon move around while you're in it. And it looked really interesting. And the one that he had set up was very high end. It was done like a laser cut wood, and it looked like kind of almost abstract game in a way, with neat little walls that can be put in here and there. And it looked really good. And I think from what he said, that's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive. So I'm hoping to get in on that when that pops up because I like the look of that board. It looked nice. So yeah, those are some of the things that I saw on the last day of SHUX, and it was a fun weekend. I enjoyed myself. I even got to speak to Quinns and Matt and tell them how much their Let's Play video of Netrunner was, because that is the video that got me into Netrunner in the first place. I'd heard about it through Shut Up and Sit Down's channel, and when I saw this particular video and I watched them play the game, I'm like, this is a game I want to play. As soon as I saw them play it and how the game worked, I was like, I want to play this game. And I haven't looked back. And I also wanted to thank Quinns and Matt, especially, both of them, and Paul, but I didn't get a chance to meet Paul. But Paul, if you're watching this, you're not watching this. But if you are, you're not. But if you are, I want to thank you too, because they are the ones that got me into YouTube. Not directly, but I've been watching them and the absolute love and passion that they have for board games that they put into their videos. And I'm like, I want to talk to people about the things that I love. And what I loved most of all was books, which I started because my channel began as You Should Be Reading. I just started talking about books. And then I branched out into talking about movies and television series and anime and Netrunner and playing video games and all the other shows that I do here. So without them, I probably would not have gotten into YouTube. I probably would have been like, well, everybody else is doing it. But seeing them and just them being silly and having fun just inspired me to jump right in and do it. So thank you to you guys, and thank you for SHUX. It was fantastic. I am looking forward to it next year because I'm planning on going once again. I think it's going to be in a bigger venue next year too, because I'm thinking they're looking to do more. So that's on the schedule for later. But that's going to be it for this episode of Depraved Indifference to Intelligent Life. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I do new videos. And throw a comment in the comment section. Did you attend SHUX 2017? Were you there? Did you see me walking around in my my hat? Not this one. It was a different hat. But there was a few people that seen me, and it's like, "Are you Pravicun from the forums because of the hat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." So let me know what you think. And any other comments you want to throw in the comment section. Go right ahead. Let's get a discussion going. So do all that, and I'll see you next time.